Tiberius Storm from the Empire of Calypso, and today I wanted to talk about what do micronations need? Well, first of all, that's a loaded question. It really depends on you and what you expect out of your micronation, the type of micronation you run, whatever the case may be. Um, so I will leave that up to you. But I will say, no matter what, your micronation should be lawful. Most of us claim a spot, whether we own the land or we're renting a space, a bedroom, or a place at college, whatever the case may be. And the reality is that we are subject to the laws of the macronation that we are in, and not just on a national scale, but we need to adhere to laws from the state, county, local level, including ordinances, whatever rules and regulations they have. So let's get that out of the way. Unless, of course, you're willing to take over a nation or a certain part and go to war, an all-out conflict. I think most of us understand that we have to pay our taxes and do things right and don't shoot somebody on our property because we say, oh, it's my nation and I can do whatever I want. That's not the case. So I don't want to go into why you start a micronation. Part of that goes into all of this, but I think I can kind of get around that with, regardless of what your micronation is or why you start it, you want some kind of name and branding, colors, animals, symbols, whatever you use, so everything has coherent ties between them. You want your flag, your monetary notes, your coat of arms, all to be recognizable as your nation. You want your motto to stand for something you believe, and everything to be tied together. So, that being said, for the Empire of Calypso, when I started this and wanted to make an activist nation that would, and I've said this time and time again, that we are advocates for equality and equity of all living beings, that I needed a name that at least partially meant that, stood for that, was recognizable as that. So it took some time, but I thought about slavery. Nobody wants to. It's not a fun topic, but in order to make things better and try to help people of color, people who have been subjugated, and not just blacks or the Spanish, Jews, Muslims, it's all over the world, it's worldwide. But for me, living in the southeast area of the United States, I thought of black slavery. It's just the first thing that came to mind. And I think there's still an inequity today and injustices based on inequality from just patent racism, systemic racism. So anyway, I wanted a name that kind of fit that, and I thought of where does that come from? Well, it's southern United States, but it was England, it was just a lot of places. But these people came from Africa. I just kept that in my mind, and I live in a subtropical area with palm trees and beautiful water, and so I thought about that subtropical thing as well. And I came across the word calypso, which has multiple meanings if you go back through Greek mythology or whatever. But in discounting that, for me, it's a type of music that came from Africa. It's Trinidadian, I believe. It's upbeat, which I think this is a tough subject to cover. But if you're going to have hope and you want things to change, try to be upbeat about it. So Calypso kind of fit the bill for this area, I think. Maybe I didn't nail it dead on, but I don't know that you ever will, unless you give a full sentence for the name that you want to use, which explains every detail, and who's going to do that, right? But, so I had a name, and then I thought about saving animals, and so I started thinking about animals, subtropical animals, and I thought about certain monkeys or African animals, toucans, different birds, tropical birds. And then I thought, well, we're also doing this whole climate change activism thing. So we need clean air and water. I thought of a dolphin. You see those every time I go out to Tampa or Miami or whatever the case is, and you're on a boat. They jump behind the boat. They're like, I don't know, almost like pets or friends or whatever out there. They live here. So so when I went to our flag, at least when I started tying our colors together and some of that, I went with this aqua teal kind of water, fresh or saltwater color here off of Florida, but and in the Bahamas and the subtropical area. But and so I went with that and white and the dolphin, and that is our national flag for Calypso. And I have two of these 3 foot by 5 foot flags, and I have a number of slightly smaller that might be 2 by 4 or so many inches, 24 inches by 36 inches. I forget what I ordered them. I do need the desktop flags. I forgot to order those. So if you want to do community things and certainly working with other micronations, it's always nice to have those little desktop flags. You can send those as a gift or have them at conventions, whatever the case may be. So so there's the flag. Kind of went out of order here. But when you declare independence from the macronation, you need a Declaration of Independence. It states why, and that you are a sovereign nation. I think it's essential, especially as a micronation. Who's going to know you're a micronation and that you declare independence? And then once you do that, you do a constitution. You write a constitution or have somebody write one for you. For me, I was kind of a student of civics and history, and so I was, I don't know, fairly knowledgeable of the United States Constitution, I guess. And so when I wrote it, I kind of used that as a template, I guess, to a certain degree. And it was quite a bit longer than the Declaration of Independence. But it's important for you, if you're going to have citizens especially, because they want to know what their rights are as citizens and what the governing bodies look like. Who is running, or who are the people running things? So it's also important for us too, because we have a little bit of an oddity in that we accept animals as citizens. As long as they have awards, somebody speaking up for them, we accept animals. So that's also laid out in the Constitution. So what else do you do? We have a national sport. We have a national wiffle ball team. We've done some community stuff. It's been kind of lighthearted, mostly exhibitions, practices, things like that. But it's a community thing. I think it's great to get out there in the community, and we do plan on, if other micronations step up and want to put together teams, competing against them. So you could come up with a national sport. You could do other community things. You could set up gaming competitions, online gaming. International competitions are great. We haven't done any yet. We've just done on a community level. But yeah, it's great to not just sit in your office and write these things up, but to get out there and do things and to have that community, to be part of the bigger community, the micronational community. It's fun to compete, and if you lose, you lose. You win, whatever. But it's a great opportunity. How about a song, a national anthem? I use a Calypso genre song at the beginning of the videos, at the end of the videos, most of them. And for the time being, it's not a national anthem, but it's recognizable, and I'm using it until I write a national anthem. I was a musician, and maybe at some point I will set up my studio again and write and record and do that. So I think your nation could have a national anthem. We have an office to conduct business. This is my office. I need to move some things around. This was a kind of a spare bedroom, catch-all room, junk room, whatever you want to call it, and I decided to utilize it. Actually, I'll show it to you when the video's finishing up. But it's good. It gives a feeling of, I don't know if you want to cosplay or whatever. I dress the part occasionally, but it's something you could use. Now, I believe you should have this, and the Empire of Calypso does, to have an official website. It's important because it gets the word outside of our local community. So you're not just dealing in a couple of miles or a couple of blocks or whatever. You're reaching people around the world. So you're really exposing your nation internationally. It's professional. It shows some professionalism. There are a lot of micronations that are simply on Wiki or on Discord, and that's fine. But for us, we certainly wanted a certain air of professionalism, and so we've gone that route. You could sell products online, so it's good for that. We currently don't have anything, at least advertised on our site for sale, but an online website is good for that. It shows our history, our pictures, what we stand for, what we're about. It's a great way to have citizen applications and contacts and things like that set up for people to fill out forms and submit to you, and it just goes to your email. It's a great way to do things. We've just begun our internet endeavor. We were working locally for some time. We actually had a little bit of downtime. If you go to our website, some of that is explained. But as far as beginning our internet endeavor, social media is important. I haven't found, what you would call it, the biggest bang for my buck at this point. Facebook is very trendy, and I don't get a lot of hits from Facebook, a lot of crossover from that to Discord or YouTube. YouTube has directed some people to my Discord or to the website, so that's good. I'm not sure yet about Instagram or Twitter, but those are things to consider, whatever you want to do. Monetary notes. We have monetary notes, and in tying everything together, I thought this was important. This might take a little time, and I'll try to zoom in here. This is our $5 monetary note. As an example, the lighthouse represents guiding light for all to see, and I actually wrote down some notes. May it be the beacon to lead others to do good on the path to Earth's salvation. And I went with kind of a tropical, it's an orange color. Our $10 monetary notes, and these are called clams. Within the Empire, we use clams. Again, just a play on words, using a subtropical kind of thing. The dolphin represents clean air and water, as well as animal rights. All lives deserve the right to live long, healthy, happy lives. And that was kind of a tropical blue color. And then I went with this sort of tropical, I guess it's a purple. I don't know if there's an actual shade of purple, but Michael the Archangel represents protection. May we fight for and protect those in need, those without voices, those in the minority, and those that are unable to protect themselves. So there you go. Again, tropical colors. Land. We have several pieces of land, and I think most micronations strive to have that. How you use it is up to you, but it's a great place for placing a factory for production or a farm if you want to be self-sufficient. So land is important. I think that covers most of what we've done, the things that we think you need as a micronation. Down the road, we're going to be working on citizen growth, and that's a double-edged sword because citizens come and go, and it really doesn't matter how great you are or your micronation is. Any video game, just as an example, that you've played or you've seen, people go in, they play for a couple of weeks or a month or maybe 2 months, and they get bored and they move on. And that's the way it is. So it's very difficult keeping people engaged. Let me go back here. If we go back to some of the community things that you can do to keep people engaged, it's very important. It helps growth. You also want to set a fairly strict set of criteria to gauge who your citizens are and what they're going to do with you in your micronation. That's important. And what can they bring to the micronation? It's great to have citizens, but what good is it other than playing video games if you're not going to accomplish things? If you don't have governing bodies, people that stick, and you really need some continuity when it comes to a micronation. When you make your flag, and this is something I should point out too, when you create your flag and your monetary notes, it's important to have continuity. You want people to recognize your stuff. You don't want to keep starting over and making changes, change the name of your nation, and then have to change people out of certain positions of power in the government. It just doesn't work. So I do want to address something as well before we go, and actually I'll show you my office after this. But I had said something in a previous video about micronations with kids that, I forget how I worded it, but essentially that draw flags with crayons and start war with everybody, that they're not real micronations. Well, I think I need to take a step back, because being that this nation stands for what it stands for, and all living beings being equal, children have that right too. And if that's the best they can do, then so be it. We wouldn't stand for much if I didn't own up to that and admit to my mistake, and I was wrong in saying that. Will it delegitimize other micronations to some degree? Maybe. But if that's the case, then that's the case. So let me show you the office. Doesn't look so different from here, right? So let me tell you a little bit about what we have going on here, other than a globe and some things that I use for decorating and whatever. Got myself a nice desk. And I love this chair. Absolutely love this chair. It is leather. It's really nice leather. Being that we don't believe in harming animals, I will not buy anything that is sold new in leather or use animal products. But in this case, the fact that it's used, it was either going to go to waste or somebody else would get it, so I decided to buy it. I also sell Legos online, and so I have a bunch of things here, some books, and like I said, this was a catch-all office. I have a bunch of product here, and I actually have another whole room of stuff, and there's just my little camera set up. I use my cell phone for the time being. I don't know if I'm going to set up computers in here, maybe a laptop with, I have a nice standalone microphone for that. To do recordings in here and not have to use my phone and then switch over and all of that garbage. So anyway, that's the office. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll keep the videos coming. Thank you so much for watching.